Donald Trump will help arrange a face-to-face meeting between the leaders of Japan and North Korea. The announcement was made following bilateral talks between the US President and the Japanese Prime Minister in Tokyo just this afternoon. Earlier, President Trump met with relatives of Japanese citizens abducted from in North Korea and downplayed the Kim Jong-un regime's recent weapons tests.
Korea has tremendous economic potential, like perhaps few other developing nations anywhere in the world. And I think that he is looking to develop that way. He knows that with nuclear, that's never going to happen. Only bad can happen. He understands that. He is a very smart man. He gets it well.
Donald Trump also says a new trade deal with Japan aimed at addressing the $57 billion imbalance is in the works. Japan also agreed to join NASA's human space exploration project. And we heard President Trump just in the last hour speaking there in Tokyo saying that this is now the most important issue for the military right now, getting humans back to the moon and to Mars as well. All right, for more on this meeting between the two leaders there in Tokyo, with me now from the Japanese capital is CNN senior international correspondent Ivan Watson. Thanks very much for your time this afternoon. So just on, I mean, this is really interesting timing, this visit for President Trump, given North Korea starting some missile tests again, the trade war with China is deteriorating. What did you take from his comments on trying to help Shinzo Abe arrange a meeting with Kim Jong-un? Trump clearly wants to keep the peace process on track.
That's right, he does, and he's even willing to downplay the fact that North Korea and Kim Jong-un, in fact, personally oversaw the launch of short-range ballistic missiles as recently as May 9th, less than 3 weeks ago. President Trump saying that didn't bother me, even though Japan, and standing by his side, the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said that was a direct violation, those missile launches, of United Nations Security Council resolutions, even though President Trump's own national security advisor, John Bolton, said the same to journalists here in Tokyo just last Saturday. So President Trump doubling down on his personal diplomacy with the North Korean dictator. But Shinzo Abe applauded Trump's, as he put it, new approach to Pyongyang, saying that President Trump had managed to crack the shell of distrust when it came to North Korea. And Shinzo Abe saying that he would be open to his own face-to-face talks with Kim Jong-un without preconditions, but that they would be candid talks, and that the issue of Japanese citizens allegedly abducted and still in the custody, the Japanese believe, of the North Koreans, that would be one of the issues on the table for discussion, and that is an issue that President Trump has raised again and again in his face-to-face discussions with the North Korean dictator. There was one moment that I think will create ripples back in the U.S. for President Trump, and that is that he sided with Kim Jong-un against the former Vice President of the U.S., Joe Biden. Standing there alongside the Japanese Prime Minister, he was asked about this, and he said that he agreed with Kim Jong-un, who reportedly called Joe Biden a low IQ individual. And here the logic was pretty fascinating. President Trump said that Biden, a former vice president, was a low IQ individual because he had agreed to a nuclear deal with Iran in the past, a nuclear deal that Trump himself has shredded. And then almost in the same breath, he called on Iran to make a further deal with the U.S. That logic quite fascinating there. David?
It is. Can I just ask you, too, about the situation between the US and China? Now, clearly, we see great warmth between Donald Trump and Shinzo Abe on this visit on show. What's his language been like in relation to China while he's been there in Japan, bearing in mind that Shinzo Abe certainly has had his moments with the Chinese leadership himself?
Yeah, I mean, President Trump was asked about the ongoing trade war, and he insisted that it is hurting China more than it's hurting the U.S., and that it's actually coming out to favor the U.S. economy in the long run, though I think some economists may challenge those assertions. And he insisted that he thinks that the Chinese want to make a deal. Now, Shinzo Abe was asked about this, and he said, look, it is better for the global economy and better for Japan if the world's two largest economies, the U.S. and China, are cooperating. And we've heard from the Japanese government just this month that they're predicting that there will be a worsening economy here in Japan, in part because of the trade war, that they will suffer collateral damage because of the trade war between Beijing and Washington. That's something they would like to see improved. We know that Japan will be hosting the Chinese leader and the U.S. president next month in Osaka at the G20 meeting. We don't know whether there will be any great breakthrough in the trade war on the U.S.-Chinese front before that takes place.